Here we go then, Las Vegas, the gambling capital of the world, if you will, and a race where we have to go all in and give it everything. Now, I'm not going to basically spoil things for you guys. Check out the last race at Brazil, which also featured a sprint, so essentially double points up for grabs, and that is going to set up the scene for this episode. Guys, link in the top right, spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1. So, this race, this championship is going to go down to the wire, and it's going to go down between the three of us. McLaren, Mercedes and Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship, and also in the Drivers is going to be pretty close as well. So, forecast is dry. No rain, which is good to see, and we're going to see now also the developments. Now, we had a regulation change confirmed for Season 4. Since then, everyone has stopped developing. We've won the last 2 races, technically 3 if you include the sprint at Brazil, and that has brought us right back into play, including a 1-2 finish in Qatar. The Drivers' Championship, you can see we have very much a battle for P1 and a battle for P4. It's the number 1 drivers versus the number 2 drivers, and also the Constructors is red hot. The gap to Red Bull 32 points and the gap to Mercedes 22 points. For it to go down to the last race in Abu Dhabi, we need to get one more 1-2 finish, or at least a 1-3 or a 2-3. It has to be a double podium to really help get us in the mix for the finale. So we've done so good on the recovery, but we need just a little bit more. The last race, Lando Norris let us down in the race, in the main race, should I say. So we left a few points on the table. So we jump into practice, getting the car up to speed. Now, Las Vegas is not my best track. The AI are pretty decent here, and the deltas that were given to us in practice are also broken. So I done practice anyway just to get some data, fuel consumption, tire wear data for the race, and both of those look really good. So that's a good start to the weekend. Now, the big thing, like I mentioned before, is Lando Norris. He underperformed in Brazil. He done really well in the sprint, but dropped the ball in the race. Now, we cannot afford any more mistakes. Norris has to perform, so I'm hoping he can get his act together and deliver when it matters in the race and qualifying, because this race and this general event, we need it. This is a gambler's paradise, and we have to go all in and give it everything in this one. So let's get into qualifying and let's get to it. Q1, back to our regular qualifying format after doing a short qualifying last time out in the sprint in Brazil. We're going to get back to it and see what happens. There is the head honcho, Andrea Stella, getting the briefing ready for us as we get ready for qualifying and get this car up to speed. So for this one, I'm using a slightly modified Spa setup, which has the most similar wings to this profile of circuit. I'm trying to see if I can stay strong in the corners and maybe give up a bit of straight line speed. Because of the DRS, we can hopefully stay there in the race. For qualifying though, pace-wise, it's a decent banker, P7. We then got shoved to P11, which was a bit of a surprise, but the lap didn't feel too bad. So I'm going to try and go for a second attempt and improving. You can see we're actually finding time now, so we're a 10th up as we make our way into Sector 2, but we just lock up and hit the barrier. Now, we are very lucky there to not lose our right front and lose our suspension and DNF from qualifying. So we brought the car back to the pits. You can see we have a half a second margin over Schumacher in P15, so I think we're safe and we're not going to go out, and we get through into Q2 comfortably. So job done. We survive a small scare in that first part of qualifying, and yeah, overall, job done. Into Q2 then. Now we're going to start to really ramp it up. So we actually pushed up tyre temperatures a bit to get a bit more front end performance, also dropping the fuel a bit, and now we're going to see some true pace as we make our way up to the line. Our banker lap is going to be a 1:28.6, which isn't super quick and not that much better than Q1. However, it wasn't a great lap. It was a bit scruffy. There were some mistakes in there which I'm hoping to correct, but this track is very unforgiving, and one mistake and you're done. Just like in last season's qualifying, we made one error and it's game over. So there's a lot of pressure on this lap right now, because if we mess this up, it could mean big consequences for the race. So turn 1, braking at about 75-80 meters down to 3rd, possibly 4th gear. Make sure to open the right, and this corner here is so slippery. Be patient, go up to 6th and hold it in 6th and cruise through. We lose a little bit of time, but to be fair, I nailed those first 2 corners on my last attempt. Now though is when I know there's time to find. On the brakes, into the 90-degree right, we brake a bit earlier and get a better exit, as last time I outbroke myself a bit and we find 2/10 straight away. Into the slow section, again, just trying to clean up those mistakes, and we find a couple of attempts on the last lap. We got that a bit wrong, got a bit crossed up and just missed a few apexes here and there, so this is a much better lap. 6/10 up, and now there's probably a bit more time to find through this next left-hander, but besides that, the lap is pretty much done. The time to find was in sector 1, so through to the left, not really taking enough inside curb. A bit of a moment as well as we just keep that barrier, but now making our way down the back straight, you can see we're up by 7/10, and this hopefully could do the job. Checkered flag has dropped. We'll get an idea as to what we're looking at as we cross the second sector split. So we are marginal right now, just neck and neck with Piastri in P11, into the chicane, braking at the 100. Third gear, short shift to fourth, over the curbs, and short shift to fifth as well to get the drive on the exit. We get a really good exit out there, getting the drive up to the line. We're going to improve by 0.8 of a second. Is it going to be enough? We've got a 28.6 on the board right now, and across the line, it's a 27.8, and we just get through by 1/10 of a second. So job done, and we deliver under pressure as Verstappen sets the benchmark. A 1:27.1, Russell in P2, 2/10 behind, and then Felipe Drugovich in a very surprise P3, his teammate out Piastri in P12. So Q3, I had to use used tyres for the first run, which they're about 8% worn right now, and we set a 27.9 on our first banker, which isn't bad considering that's a used compound. So not a bad start to the lap. So we'll take that information. You can see we're P7 right now. If we could find maybe a couple of attempts, we could get P5, but realistically I think P6 is the best we can hope for. I don't know if we have that sort of pace to get into the low 27. So I tried to be cheeky here, and for my last lap I wanted to get a bit of a slipstream from George Russell, who's finishing his own lap in this qualifying session. And we do actually get a nice run. You can see in the Delta we gain a bit of time as we head through turn 1, keeping it just about on the apex, and then Russell gets out the way, and we do find a bit of time through that first sector complex as we get a nice exit onto the back straight. So a good start to the lap. Now then, making our way into the tricky stuff. Brake just after the 100 down to third or fourth gear depending on your preference. Clip the inside curb to rotate the car, and then smooth on the exit. Now this corner here, I have no idea where to brake. It's purely just instinct. Hope you get it right, hope you brake late enough, and then get the car rotated through here. We lose a little bit of time on the crossover as I ran a bit wide through the right, and then I had to bring the car back into the left, the final one. So not exactly ideal, but we do get a decent exit and pull some of that time back. Now into the brake zone here, into the left-hander. Important to cut the inside curb, and that's exactly what we do. And we do keep it nice and tidy, finding a little bit of time on the exit to go 2/10 up on our previous best. Checkered flag has now dropped. Charles Leclerc is P6 right now, and we'll see what we're looking at in terms of lap time as we compare sector splits. And we are 4/10, 5/10 down almost, as we are not that quick. On the anchors though at the 100, into the chicane, trying to push now for lap time, and unfortunately we invalidate, just cutting the chicane in the middle part just the slightest amount, and we're going to throw away a 2/10 improvement as we cross the line for a 27.6. So qualifying done. A bit annoying, a bit of a shame. You know, we didn't really maximize, but then again, you look at the lap times, and realistically, I only would have beaten Pierre Gasly. I think we got a very high 6 or a very low 7. So, yeah, there wasn't a ton more time in the lap. The reality is we just lack a bit of one lap pace around here. However, Charles Leclerc has a 5-place grid drop, so that will move us into P9. And if there's any other grid drops for engine penalties elsewhere, then we'll gain more places. But either way, front row, Verstappen and Norris. So Lando delivers in qualifying and gets the job done, gets the McLaren on the front row, and it's all to play for. Perez in P5, the Mercedes cars P3 and P6. So guys, we'll see what happens. The Leclerc grid drop could be massive, but this is going to be a big race, and we're going to have to risk it all. Let's get into it.
Welcome along to Las Vegas, and Formula One might be in the middle of the Nevada desert, but who'd have thought it? It's raining out there. Now, how will that affect the drivers as they race along the strip? 17 corners, 3 straights, 2 DRS zones, and the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas as we race around the 3.8 miles of Sin City. The strip has been taken over to become a straight tonight, commanding top speeds of around 212 miles an hour. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Martinez, Ocon, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Drugovich, Mick Schumacher, Albon, Magnussen, Sargent, Ricciardo, Joe, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc.
Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc?
They need to win in order to ensure they stay in contention for the championship. Anything outside that, and their fate is no longer in their hands.
The key now will be to keep in the right mindset. We've seen time and again that things go wrong if you just try and do the minimum. Not necessarily because of the pressure, but because it's different to your usual approach. They'll need to avoid that and stay focused today.
Here we go then, time for Las Vegas, and it's time to go all in. We have to gamble and pretty much go all the way to the end and hopefully just give it everything. Take every risk possible because the reality is we need to help Lando in P2. He's in second place, we are in P8, so we have to try and carve our way up and get up there. Verstappen's on pole, so we have to put a stop to that, which is the most important thing. We have gained a couple of grid places due to Leclerc's penalty and also another one for Drugovich, so we're a bit higher up, which is going to help. So fourth row for us. For this one, strategy, I have two options, which I'm leaving open. So originally, the game is saying medium to hard. We also have a soft tyre option, which I've chosen myself because the hard tyre is probably a bit too hard for this track, and also the medium seems to last pretty well here, so I reckon we could probably squeeze a soft tyre on if necessary. I'm also debating starting on softs, but I'm not sure if I want to go with that. I think it's a tricky one. The softs are scrub. You know what? I think I might actually go for it. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I think it's time to go and gamble and see what happens. You can see the softs are pretty worn compared to the mediums, but you know what? I might just give this a go. Why not? The championship's at stake. We've got to try and get a 1-2 finish. Let's go for it. Here we go then. The biggest race start of the season so far. Good start. No wheel spin. Sainz moves across there. Don't think we've got damage. Norris, Verstappen side by side for the lead. I think Norris has actually got it.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
Just checking that front wing as we had some contact with Sainz, but we're all good. And look at this. Russell challenging Verstappen. Norris breaking away. If Norris could break away, that would be massive for this race. As the DRS training is such a big factor here. And actually it is happening. Norris is breaking away. We're going to get underneath and past Alonso. We've got Checo on softs as well, so we'll see if we can try and get him. You can see my tyres are nearly 10%, so we're already on a pretty big deficit for tyre wear, but we're making them work. We've got the start that we wanted. And we're now in this race, which is what I was hoping for. Russell's P2, so Verstappen's had a poor start. It's game on, at least for now. In acceleration, we're getting wrecked again, but looks like even at VMAX, maybe we're struggling, so I may have some higher wings. The Rebels, though, seem very quick as Verstappen is challenging Russell, and Perez is closing all the time here, so it seems like Red Bull, hence why Verstappen got pole, maybe have some very low wings. But look at this, the battle is costing time. Couldn't quite get momentum through the chicane, but we may still get a run here. Down to turn 1, Verstappen and Russell, side by side. Oh my god. Are we okay?
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
Oh, we're lucky. Perez just left me no room. I was going to the outside there, but he just moved across. Almost like he didn't expect me to go to the outside. And then we just basically barged our way through at turn 1 because, you know, in retaliation to that move, I wasn't really happy with that. So will go through, and that's P4 for us. So Lando leads the way, Russell second, Verstappen third, and we are P4, which is more than I could have hoped for, to be fair. This is a really good race start. Now we've got to see if we can hold on with these tyres and stay in the race. Perez is closing on me here. I'm using all my battery, but that Red Bull's very quick. Verstappen's also challenging Russell. On the outside of Perez we go. And we hold our own beautifully. And now we're going to get hopefully some DRS, which will keep us in the mix. Verstappen goes for it on Russell. This time he's going to commit to it.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Still going for it. I'm going to see if I can stay close. Russell has a moment, almost puts Verstappen in the barrier. Looks like neither of them have DRS right now, so me and Checo are going to get the run. I'm going to go around the outside of Perez, but we don't quite have the front end there, so we have to let that one go. But this is okay. I don't mind being in this P2 battle as we get all crossed up on the rears on the way in. This battle's fine. Got to get the elbows out. Locking onto Checo there. Had to try and turn away, but we locked axles. But this is fine. This is allowing Norris to pull away and drive off, which is absolutely fine by me. Oh my god, we got hit in the rear as Alonso goes through, end plate off somewhere. Not sure, actually no, signs went through, but it's all kicking off here. Russell's going to be in big trouble now. Look at this up ahead, 3 wide. Everyone fighting for the DRS. We're going to hit the limiter. And Russell's going to get passed by both Red Bulls. Got Gasly lunging on the inside, but we'll hold our own. AI just going to be very chaotic, so we're going to have to try and keep a cool head. Oh, we made that work somehow. Just got to be careful with the brakes, man. I'm cooking up my rear tyres already. But we're holding on, that's a good thing. Hopefully breaking away from the cars behind. The Red Bulls are going to swap, so Perez overtakes Verstappen. We may actually get Russell here, look at this. On the limiter, but wow, Russell moves at the last second. Nice. Oh, never mind. Exit ain't good. Russell has a moment though. I just saw him wobble in my mirrors, so good and bad. We've lost the RS on the Red Bulls, which is not good. Perez setting the pace. Okay, the Red Bulls may have broken away here. That might have been a key moment. Russell's going to go back through. We may have to work with him to try and at least keep up with the Red Bulls. The worst thing that can happen is if the Red Bulls work together to catch Lando Norris, which is not going to be good. We need them to battle like they are right now, side by side into the chicane. Come on, George, pick the pace up, mate. I'm losing time. I reckon we'll just hang on to Russell's DRS, but it was close. Can't make any mistakes. And we're catching the Red Bulls at this rate, which is good as well. Russell's helping me here quite a lot. Get to the end of the stint. I'm struggling quite a lot now on tyres. My rears are really, really hurting. Red Bulls are slowly gaining on Lando Norris.
Okay, be aware, the grip levels are going to start falling away soon.
Well, I'll say that. They're now going side by side here, which is going to help just
We're approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums.
cost them some valuable time. Red Bulls lost quite a bit of time on this lap. They battled for the same section again. I'm also now starting to save some battery up, so it could be worth a lunge of trying to get the relay with the DRS overtake. Maybe in a lap or two if we get any closer. This is my scheduled pit stop lap. The question is, do I want to stay out? I think I'll do opposite of Perez. Oh.
Grip is probably dropping due to wear, so don't be too aggressive.
Perez in the pit, so I will. We're going to try and undercut Perez and get in that Red Bull battle, which is important. Come on, boys, this has got to be good. Away we go. If we can get out ahead of Sonoda here, oh, this is Ricardo. Out ahead of Ricardo would be ace. Clean air.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
Nice, there we go. Right, we've got to push now. We've got to use all the battery, push like crazy, and try to undercut both Red Bulls here, especially Perez, who will pit this lap. Draining the entire battery here, trying to use it all. Norris pits.
Lando's coming in for his stop now.
And so does Checo. So Verstappen stays out, so we're going to get a 2-lap undercut on Verstappen. No idea what tyres Norris is on, to be fair, what tyres he started on. But this traffic is going to play a part. If we can clear this traffic, that would be massive. Norris at turn 1, Perez arriving at pit exit in traffic. There is Checo. 2 cars ahead, Tsunoda out of shape. We might be able to get the 2 for 1 here.
Lando's in the pits. Lando in the pits.
Overtaking Schumacher, we're going to get Tsunoda here. On the outside, now Perez stuck in traffic. Perfect. Got to keep pushing. Oh, here we go, Perez. Looking for a risky pass. He wouldn't normally overtake here. He gets it done, to be fair. Credit to him. We nail the chicane. You can see Gasly has no rear tyres. But now we get into a drag race. And the Red Bull's going to absolutely cook. Checo passes Drogovic. And is now going to get the run on Ocon as well. He's going to get them all on the same straight, which is insane. Gasly still looking for the move. Going to outbrake him, but Perez goes straight through. Let's see if any of these guys pit so we can crack on. Yes, they do. So we're going to get the slipstream. Important now to get the tow from Perez. And try to get his DRS, which would be ideal. Although Sector 1 is not my strong point. This is going to be pretty close. Using all the battery, we're going to have to nail the chicane. I think we just done it. Yes, we did. Wow, that was massive. I needed to do that, and we've done it. Whew. Even then, we're not really gaining, but still, it's better than not having DRS. Norris is on medium, so he's in the same tyre strategy as us, so Norris 30.0. We're going to improve yet again. 29.3. That could be the extra point, you know. I used a lot of battery and DRS in that lap, so that might get us over the line, which could be important for the championship again, that extra point. Also, by the way, Verstappen behind, Russell as well. I was so focused on that fastest lap that I didn't realise that Verstappen and Russell had pit. So if we can just stick with Checo now, and they're in it now, we're comfortable. Things have settled down in a good way. So we'll just sit behind Perez, trying to recharge. All we have to do is overtake him one time at the end and make sure it's definitive. We still have the fastest lap. Verstappen is not catching me right now, and we're only very slowly catching Norris, but at this rate we're not going to catch him by the end. So the 1-2 finish is on the cards. We just have to play them correctly, and of all places we have to play our cards right at Vegas. Leclerc overtakes Russell for P5, and they're in a battle with Aston Martin, so Mercedes may drop points here as well, which is also important heading into the finale. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ooh.
Green flag.
I don't believe it. I do not believe it. That could shift the balance of the Constructors' Championship right there. Checo retires. That is the very first retirement, I think, of any Red Bull, McLaren, or even Mercedes driver that's reliability related. These cars are maxed out, so you don't really see that anymore. But Checo's engine, let's go. Oh my days. This 1-2 could be massive now. This has huge championship implications. Mercedes in a 4-5 are going to outscore Red Bull with Verstappen in P3. I don't even know what the maths is now for the championship, but let's just push. Let's not give up yet. I'm out of DRS one. Without DRS, I'm going to slow down a bit, so I'm going to have to try and push to get back on my bike here. Verstappen's going to have better tyres to the end, so we're not out of the woods yet. We're very lucky that we may have just had enough of a gap with Perez and DRS, but without DRS, Verstappen's flying. I mean, I'm catching Norris, so Verstappen is just in a different dimension pace-wise. But he lost enough time in the first part of the race that he's not going to challenge, hopefully. This isn't over yet. I can't afford any real mistakes otherwise. We're going to be under big pressure from Max. take a warning. I don't care. I lost the rear a little bit on entry. Got a bit of a rear drift going. Right, I've got just enough battery for maybe one more deployment on this back straight. Max is now going to turn the revs up, so we've got to try and make sure we stay out of DRS by this time next lap. And sector 1 is my biggest weakness. Perfect. So we've got it. Yes, we have. Not yet though. That Red Bull in full revs is going to catch us by the end of the straight. I just got a feeling. Hopefully though, Lando wins. I'm not sure if it's his first win of the season or not, but what a time to win. And we're going to bring home what honestly did not expect. A very, very unlikely 1-2. We weren't fast, but we played the strategy beautifully. We done the Red Bull strategy from Brazil and basically beat them on the softer compounds like in the last race. They managed to beat Norris. And it's a 1-2 and a fastest lap.
Yes, and that's a podium. Excellent drive. The whole team have worked especially hard this weekend, and that, my friend, is a fantastic reward. Well done.
And there we have it, victory in the Nevada deserts. Las Vegas has its victor, and what a performance. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Wow, what a race. I said at the start we had to go all in. The tyre strategy, the aggression, everything went our way. And the cherry on the top, Perez retires from the race. What a moment for it. I'm pretty sure that is the first DNF out of any McLaren, Red Bull or Mercedes all season long. But we'll have to double check that one. Either way, wow, what a time for Lando to win his first race. Also, responding after a very poor race last time in Brazil. He had a good sprint but a bad race, and that is exactly how to respond. So let's look at the standings, because that is what we all care about. So Drivers' Championship, Lando moves himself up into 4th, overtaking Russell and Perez in the process, and also having opened up a bit of a gap actually, 12 points ahead of George after that race. We are up to 3rd, and we are 17 points behind Verstappen with one race to go. Can we go back to back and win the Drivers' Championship? Who knows? Like I said, it was never my intention. My sole focus was the Constructors. And look at this. One race to go, 3 points, cover 3 teams. Guys, I think we're in for a classic, for an all-time classic. We've had some good seasons recently. I remember we had a season in my team on last year's game, which was really, really good. But I think we're topping it. You know, this season has become insane. The second half of the season turnaround with the B-Spec car has been unreal. And we now have a shot at glory at winning the Constructors' Championship. So we'll see what happens, guys, in one race time in Abu Dhabi. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, leave a like on it, subscribe for more daily F1 content. Let's try and smash over 1,000 likes, guys. Trust me, it really helps me out, and I think the video deserves it. Leave a comment down below as well on your predictions for the finale. What do you think is going to happen? As always, a big shout out to the channel members for supporting me. Finally, check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in one race time in Abu Dhabi for the season finale.